Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek podcast. We are your hosts, Sebastian and Joel. And on today's show, we are welcoming Sophie Dower to the podcast. Sophie is a proud Mustang Mach-E Rally owner, previously a Mustang Mach-E Premium owner, and is active in the Mustang Mach-E NorCal Club. Sophie will be chatting about her Mach-E ownership experiences, as well as some of the really cool and interesting modifications she has done to her Mustang Mach-E. So without further ado, let's welcome Sophie to the podcast.
All right. Thank you, Sophie, for joining us today. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into owning your first and second, I believe, Mustang Mach-E.
Oh boy. So Sophie Dower. I am professionally, I'm an applications engineer. I do industrial 3D printing, predominantly for automotive. So I do a lot of automotive interiors, applications, and fun stuff like that. But when it comes to how I got into my Mustang Mach-E, I for as long as I can remember, I've always been a huge car nerd. Predominantly Jeep. I was a big Jeep Wrangler person. I was like, one of those kids that had the little toy Jeep Wrangler that they would like drive around the backyard. So I was dead set on getting a Jeep Wrangler when I was older. And when I went to finally go buy my very first car, second car, Ford had released the Bronco. And I absolutely fell in love with the Bronco and had actually gone in to go, I made a reservation for the Bronco and went to go place my order for the Bronco when I saw a 2021 Premium Mustang Mach-E on the lot. And it was a demo vehicle. And my husband, at the time I was driving like 100 miles a day. I was driving an 09 Grand Cherokee. I got like literally 8 or 9 miles per gallon at that point. And so I was there was also about 300,000 miles on that car. So I was spending between $500 and $600 a month on gas and oil changes for that car. And, going to a new Bronco is something to be pretty marginally better than that. So he told me that I should test drive the Mustang Mach-E. Him and his whole family have been just die-hard Mustang people their entire lives. Him and his dad are in the middle of rebuilding. I think it's it's either a 69 or a 70 Mustang right now. And so I test drove the car. We were at a red light, and Cadillac CTSV pulled up next to me. Light turns green. We both hammered it, and I smoked this dude in the CTSV. And I don't think I've ever smiled bigger in my entire life. So I just absolutely fell in love with that car, and ended up placing an order for Mustang Mach-E right after that instead.
And
it's a long story. Sorry.
And now you have, that's fine. And now you have a Mustang Mach-E Rally, correct?
I do. Yep. Yeah. So the 21 Premium was my first, and then in August I actually upgraded to the Rally Edition, which is my favorite.
Oh yeah, we got they took us around the dirt track at Electrify Expo in the Mach-E Rally, and we just laughed and giggled the entire 45 seconds we were in that vehicle. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joel tried to get a video, and just the background, all you can hear the whole time is him giggling like a little girl, and just
it's like Blair Witch Project. This camera's shaking around. I'm like going, oh.
I'm addicted to it. I do rallycross competitions with it now. I can't get out of the dirt with it.
Yep, it was awesome. So, did you go to? When you were going in there, you weren't like an electric vehicle nerd thinking, "Hey, I got to get an EV. That's what I want to do. I want to save the world and all this." You just it was kind of like, "Oh, there's a Bronco. Let's check this out." Is that kind of how it happened?
Yeah, I was going for the Bronco. I thought EVs were cool, but I never had it really. I don't know if I ever thought I would ever be able to buy one. I just kind of always thought they were going to be expensive. So, And yeah, sure, a Bronco, also not super low cost, but we were going with one of the lower cost trims at the time. Yep. And then the numbers just worked out, and especially the Mustang Mach-E ended up being way less than what I thought it was when I first saw that commercial with Idris Elba, and I was like, oh my God, that's going to be like $100,000 car.
Yep.
That was not the case.
Yeah. If I had to buy a non-EV, it would probably be a Bronco, by the way. So yeah. Oh yeah. I've always wanted a Jeep, but then the Broncos came out. I was like, man, that my son is 16. He's like, Dad, I want a Bronco when I start driving. I was like, yeah, so do I. So it's not going to happen. You're going to have an 88 Corolla. That's what you're going to have, buddy. You're 16. Getting a Bronco. Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
So how has your experience been with the Mach-E so far? What do you love about it?
Oh my God, everything. It's honestly, it's been fantastic. Like I said, I've had it since June of 2021. Well, I've had Mustang Mach-E since June of 2021. I mean, I've done long road trips with it. We lived in Chicago when I had bought the first one, and so I would drive, like I said, 100 miles a day. It was perfect, even during the dead of winter when obviously you lose a bunch of mileage. Um, it was still worked totally fine for me. Not having to stop at a gas station anymore was the greatest thing in Chicago winters. Cause it'd be like 5 o'clock in the morning is when I would leave for work. Traffic is ridiculous there. And I'd be like pumping up my gas in my '09 Grand Cherokee, and like freezing my hand and like trying to
Yeah.
stick it in my pocket every now and then. Not having to do that anymore was great. We did have a home charger, which made all the difference. Um, and then I would drive from Chicago to New York. I'm from Syracuse, New York originally, so I would go back and forth from there several times a year, and it was great with both our dogs in the car. We didn't add any time onto our normal trip because, especially with the dogs in the car, you need to stop anyways, let the dogs out. So every time we needed to stop to let the dogs out, we would just stop and charge and just keep going anyways. And then I drove from Chicago to Redwood City, California with it. That was a great road trip. It was my husband, like 2 weeks worth of clothes, both of our dogs and our cat in the car. So it was a little cramped, but it was a good road trip. And honestly, every experience I've had with Mustang Mach-E so far has been surprising and great.
Yeah, so that kind of transitions to the next question. So, every car has something
Oh,
that
okay.
bothers you. What would that be for you? And do you feel like, or is there, or just in general, have you had any challenges that you feel like other people should know about?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I mean,
Thanks, Joel
there's like
wrote it.
there's like things I want. So 2024 Rally Edition. So I don't have like the vented seats or anything like that, or the heat pump, which is really great. But I live in California now, so the heat pump doesn't really affect me too much. Although I do think it's really important that they have heat pumps now.
Yeah.
So I'm going on the record on that one. I think that was
Yep.
well needed.
Yes.
But this is so silly. But the one thing that I want really badly is an external button for the Rally Sport mode. So then when I'm
Okay.
like off road, I don't have to go into the little screen and then click two buttons to get into. It's
Yep.
so stupid, but that's like my one thing. Other than that, especially with the Rally, I mean, all the mods that I did to my first one are stock on this one. So
Really?
there was there's like very few things that I would change in the Rally Edition, to be totally honest.
And actually, when we actually reviewed, we just got done reviewing a Lightning and a Mach-E, and that's something I think, I don't know if I made the comment or Sebastian made a comment. There should, when it comes like to like something like preconditioning, there should just be a button that you just hit like for preconditioning, like not have to go through. And this is for all EVs, not have to go through all the steps to get there. There should just be a button on the screen that says precondition. Boom, you hit it, and it preconditions. Same thing with rally mode. You just hit it, boom, and it's there. You shouldn't have to go through
Totally.
3 screens to precondition your car. Just precondition, like turning on the air.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, yep. So that transition, you made a good. You're doing a great job with transitions. That transition to what we're getting ready to talk about. So
All right.
modification. So that's something you don't hear a lot about on EVs. I've done a couple, modifications to my Tesla. Put like a spoiler, 2 spoilers on it, some rim protectors, a screen. Nothing major. But you don't see that a lot with EVs. A lot of people put like cool rims on it or something like that, or some coilovers or things like that. So what inspired you to kind of start modifying your Mach-E? And is it performance? Is it aesthetic? Is it both? Kind of explain that process.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a big car nerd. I would have modded a lot more on my '09 Grand Cherokee, but things were falling off that car. I wasn't spending the money to actually mod that one.
Yep.
So I was very excited to get a new car and really make it mine. I mean, part of what drew me to the car community in the first place is that you kind of have this like blank slate or this stock vehicle that you can then modify to really make your own and tailor to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So with on the 21 Premium, it was kind of a mix between not performance as in like speed increases or anything like that. We weren't going to computer, but it was like front strut tower brace, because I would do autocross competitions with it.
Okay.
Outside of that, the majority of it was very visual stuff. So it was a Premium. It also came out, I bought it before the GT even existed. So to the front light up pony, swapped that out, did an aftermarket one, did the rear tail light emblem, or rear emblem, turned it into like basically a third brake light, which so it's still the pony badge, but just also lights up.
Yep.
I put a roof spoiler on the back of that, did a front splitter on the front of it. So you can see it all sounds like things that are stock on the Rally at this point. I really wanted just like the aggressive look. It was black. I did the louvers on the side, on the rear windows. Yeah, it was very visual, very like a me style. And then when I got the Rally edition, I did think, well, actually, I'm talk back about the 21 Premium again. I also did the calipers. I had them powder coated to a teal through the Mustang logo on those. Had all 4 wheels powder coated to like a graphite metallic. PPF. Everyone who has an EV, I think they should do at least some PPF on the car, ceramic coat, all that fun stuff. Window tint. And then what I've done to the Rally is the rear emblem. Did that one again because I just love the look of it. Not touching the wheels. I love the wheels. Can't see the calipers, so it doesn't really matter. They are red, but you can't see them anyways. The splitter didn't need to do. Roof spoiler, it's better than the one that I had on my Premium. I did not put the louvers on this one. I left a little bit more rugged look. And then full car PPF this time, not just front PPF.
Is it clear? Did you put a color on it?
Oh, I have grabber yellow, so I did put the clear on there. Oh yeah, it's great. And I've got the the stripe on it too.
Oh.
Yeah, like basically
Very
they took
cool.
the one that they had in their advertisement.
I think we rode in the green one. Did we do a green one?
Oh,
It was grabber
so
yellow.
nice.
No, it was grabber yellow.
It was your grabber.
Yeah,
yellow,
it was grabber
green,
yellow.
same thing. Yeah, so yeah. The yellow and the blue are my favorite. My wife is not sold in the blue. She's like, you're not getting that blue. I'm like, well, then I'm getting school bus yellow is what I call it. So, yeah. So
there you go. There you go. Well, there's 2 yellows. There's the cyber orange, and then there's the grabber yellow. The grabber yellow is like that highlighter yellow.
Yeah, that's what
I'm obsessed with it.
I want a bright car. I want people to see me coming down the road. My wife's like, let's just get white. I'm like, no.
I went from black to grabber yellow. So
yeah. And on a black car, you really do need that PPF because black just shows everything.
Yeah.
So out of all those modifications, so you mostly do them yourself, or do you have other people do them for you, or is it a mixture?
I have a mechanical engineering background, so I
you do them yourself? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a mechanical engineering background. We're both in education, so we don't have mechanical engineering bagound. Sebastian could probably do some.
You guys could do it.
We could put a carbon fiber spoiler.
I'm a little handy.
All you got to do is follow a YouTube video.
That's right. We put a carbon fiber spoiler on my Tesla. That's about as heavy as we got. So.
It counts. We'll take it.
We put 2. We put one on the back. On the back truck, and then another one on the window too. That's about as technical as we got it. So, so out of all those modifications, which one are you the most proud of?
Ooh, probably on the 21 Premium, the front splitter. I had it was a 3-piece splitter that I then JB welded together, used Bondo.
Yeah.
I turned
some double-sided, some thick 3M double-sided tape.
It was not JB welded to the car. Okay. No, I turned the 3-piece into a single piece.
Yeah.
So I plastic welded basically the 3 pieces together, bondoed it so that way it was all nice and smooth. Repainted the whole thing, and then put it on the car. And that took way more time than I was anticipating when I tried to say that I was going to do a fun little weekend project that turned into a 2-week project, but it was.
You can never call something a weekend project. That's like rule number 1. If you call it a weekend project, it either becomes a multi-weekend project or you will never finish it.
We never finish it.
Oh,
yes.
I feel that. And it rained. It never rains in this area, and it rained on that weekend too. So I had to bring everything inside. Yeah, no, I cursed myself on that, but it was hard work and it was so much fun, and I loved it.
So, last question on modification, then we'll move on. What's your next one? Or are you done with modifications?
Oh God.
Or you never did. It's kind of addicting, I noticed. Like once you start doing it, you're like,
it is.
How much can I make this look like a Toyota Supra as possible? You know, so yeah. Or a 1988 Civic. Or yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So because I do the one thing I haven't mentioned at all, which I did on the 21 Premium as well, is because I do a lot of industrial 3D printing for automotive interiors with big brand companies. I have been trying to scan and redesign and print as many components as possible for the interior of my car. On my last car, I did the headrests. So I scanned the original headrest, what we call like latticing. So I populated a structure into it that basically like a foam replacement and put that in there. But the bucket seats in the Rally couldn't accept that. Obviously, it doesn't have like the normal headrest. So I have to figure out more things to do. I've got one of these. So it's basically like you can't even see it, but
there we go.
It looks white, but it's grabber yellow.
Okay.
And
Nice.
it goes on the back side of the seats in that little empty space in the back of the headrest. And I want to do more prominent things. So I'm looking at switching out some of the pad. I do a lot of seating, like custom wheelchair seat stuff as well. So I want to maybe swap out some of the pads in the seats with custom latticed foam replacement 3D printed seats.
Cool.
We'll get there. It's gonna be a big task, but that's probably one of my next ones.
So basically, anything that we want done to our cars, I'm just gonna send you and say, I want this done. Create it for me.
Go for it.
Just ship it to me. Yes.
As long as it's not software. I am not a software.
No, it's not gonna be software. I let Sebastian handle all the software stuff. That's it. That's his area. So
there you go.
A little bit of software stuff. Yeah. So that's awesome. Some cool. We don't, like I said, we don't hear a lot about customized EVs, so it's just not something a lot of people do. But that's cool.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
So we're going to move on and talk about some other cool stuff that you've done. Let's talk about the Mach-E NorCal Club. So what was the inspiration for starting that?
So it was actually another woman who had started it, but she moved away, and then I took over the group. I think there had to have been, 100 people at that time, and I think we're somewhere in like the 500s now.
Nice.
I did start the Northern Illinois Mustang Mach-E Club is literally, I think, a week after I bought my car. And there was probably 100 people in the entire United States that had one at that point. So it was basically me and one other person in that club. And then when I moved out to California, the first thing I did was see if there was already a club that was out here. So I joined it. I'm super happy to be running it now. It's an absolute blast. The group of people that like are frequent flyers to all of the events and everything, there's probably 15 of us in total that are like pretty regular at events, and they are some of the nicest people in the entire world. And it's just great. So we've all just become this group of friends. We all, even when there's not, we try and do an event once a month or once every other month. But even when we don't have those events, like we're all talking all the time, which is super fun.
Yeah, it's one thing we've been trying to work on here because, you know, the official club we have in Arkansas is the Tesla Owners Club of Arkansas, which I'm the vice president of. And then at a Cars and Coffee one time, I guess was it you and Jason decided to start the AR EV Club, or is that Jason? I forget. So they started the Arkansas EV Club. So that's kind of like holistically. And what we're trying to do is bring, for so many years, they've been separate. You know, you have the Tesla Owners Club and you have everyone else. And and if a lot of people feel that are non-Tesla owners, like I feel kind of like that's a bougie club and I'm not part of it. So what we're trying to do is just kind of, because Arkansas is not a big EV state. You know, we register maybe a couple thousand cars a year. We're trying to bring everyone together. So we're trying to do more events to where everyone's got to come together. So we have a Cars and Coffee coming up here in a couple of weeks where it's the Tesla Owners Club and kind of like, you know, Arkansas EV Club, where everyone just kind of comes together, and it's really great. But like you said, there's your hardcore people that will show up to all of those events, and then just kind of sporadic people too. So yeah,
absolutely. And so like that first group, that was NorCal Mustang Mach-E, but NorCal EVs, I mean that's with Chris Bowe with Bay Area Lightning. We've got Zach with Bay Area Rivian Group. We have Al with Tesla East Bay, and those events are a blast. We get quite a few people that show up to those events, and we try and do bigger stuff. So in October last year, we went up to, if you've heard of Kindred Motor Works, and we got to tour their facility. They take classic Broncos and then rebuild them, and they're converting them to EV as well. So now you can get EV.
Oh, that's cool.
Original Broncos, which are super sweet. So they just released that line, started in January. So they actually invited all of us back up there to do a tour now that they're pumping out these classic Bronco EVs. But we got to tour their facility back in October, and that was a blast. We had a ton of people that showed up for that. We're going to do like a driving course this year, where we're having an instructor come and like teach people how to really push their vehicles to the limits in a safe manner. especially for those that like don't want to really go super fast, but just want to get more comfortable with their car. Tons of different drives up and down Pacific Highway we have right here. So why wouldn't you go drive that?
Why not drive up and down Pacific Coast Highway all the time? Why not? Why not?
That's what I'm saying. We've got like through the Redwoods, Muir Forest. We're gonna do some winery stuff this year.
We have Interstate 40. You know, we could.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you want to come
a lot of
out
trees.
Here, you can
a lot of trees. A lot of trucks, a lot of potholes. That's about it. So yeah. So the problem is in Arkansas, you go to rural, there's no charging. So it's kind of hard for us to do. Hey, let's take a trip up to Mountain Home, Arkansas. There's no charging up there, so you can't get there and back. That's the issue with trying to do something like that is having the infrastructure to support it. So yeah,
that's a great point. Great point. Definitely lucky.
So while we're kind of talking about, you know, your kind of these experiences with these groups, what would you say has been your most memorable moment from events or whatnot with these groups?
Ooh. Honestly, probably the very first Mustang Mach-E NorCal Mustang Mach-E group that we did, or group event that we had done. We did it like some fish restaurant, and there was probably 10 of us in total that had showed up to it. None of us knew each other at that point in time. Like, we had just been chatting a little bit on the Facebook group, and I think it was one of the first like in-person events that we had done, and we all just clicked immediately. And the same group of people that were at that first one like still come to all of the ones today. And nice. It seems it's not like anything big or crazy. It was just like a normal car meetup, and then we had some sushi and had some cocktails. So it was great. But I think that's the most memorable, because that's when I met some of my friends that I've had for several years now.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we met. I don't know, where did me and you, Sebastian, meet? Was it Teslas and Tacos? Where did we meet?
Something like that. I don't even remember.
Was it that time? Was it the time I bailed you out of prison? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't that one.
It was after that. Okay, yeah. So that's how a lot of us met. You know, a lot of
let the record show I've never been to prison.
We know of. So yeah, but that's pretty cool. I mean, that's where we met a lot of the people that we chat with. Just randomly show up to these events, then you just make the connections. It's really cool, because we met, you know, Cadillac Lyric owners, we met Rivian owners, we met you know, BMW, was it the i3 owners, whatever that the little car was before it came out. So we met people at these events like that. My only issue is they're just at Arkansas. It's so hard to get people to come to these events because there's just not a lot of EV owners out there. So it's just hard spreading the word. We actually have a huge event coming up at the Capitol, trying to get some legislation passed. So Sebastian, I was going to tell you about that. If you want to come out one day with that, we're going to do some legislative work where we drive some legislators around, because we're trying to get direct sales here in Arkansas. So so that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yep. So yeah. All right. So we're going to kind of finish up with some fun questions here. So, you have endless money, endless funds. If you could take your Mach-E anywhere on a road trip, where would you go and why?
Oh, the Autobahn. Like 100%. I'm going straight to the Autobahn. I like to drive fast. That would be an absolute blast. I have driven on the Autobahn once, but I was in probably the slowest car that's allowed on the Autobahn. So, and so it was that motor was ding ding. I was redlining that thing, but I was going maybe 50 miles an hour total.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the thing that it's so fun to drive? You know, it's way more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
That's true. That is true, and I do say that all the time. So, all right, you got me on that one. You got me.
Yep. All right, so this is kind of a question that we kind of ask everyone who comes on the podcast. What's the most important thing that you kind of want people to know about owning an electric vehicle? So if you could give anyone advice about owning an electric vehicle, what would it be?
Do your research first. Like 100% do your research. If you are able to have a home charger, don't think about it. Just do it. Get the home charger. It is absolutely game changer. If you live in an apartment, look at your options. See if your apartment complex has charging available. That EV spot at your apartment complex probably is worth the extra whatever monthly fee it is for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're renting a car that's an EV, again, do your research first. Don't just rent an EV because you think it'll be cool. Learn about it and then dive into it, because what no one in this like EV community wants is for someone who doesn't really understand what they're getting into. to get into the car and then absolutely hate it and then
Yep.
trash talk EVs for the rest of their time because they had this terrible experience.
Yep. My brother-in-law is right there because he bought a used Tesla, kind of on a whim, didn't think about it, didn't talk about it, went home, realized he has no extra breakers in his box to put a 220 in. I'm like, probably should have opened that up real quick before he bought, just see if you had an open spot in there. So now he's charging on 110s because he's in a rental, and the guy said you could put a charger in, but he looked at the box and doesn't have any more space for one. So that kind of sucks.
And then we also, and like you said with the rental thing, we see stories on people post like they rented a Subaru Solterra or something and then didn't have any way of charging it, and then they're mad that they were at a supercharger or a Electrify America station forever, and it's like, you
gotta research that. Don't rent a Subaru or BZ4X,
or don't maybe don't rent an EV if your only choice for charging it is to take it to a DC fast charger. Like rent an EV if you're staying at a hotel with a level 2 charger, or something like that, or rent an EV if you're not doing like a super long trip. If you're only going to do like a night trip or 2 nights, whatever. But
and I will say EVs. I think there's way more people out there that could benefit from having an EV and don't realize that they would because they think they need it for these long road trips and they might go on a road trip once a year, but they drive 40 miles a day the rest of the time. EVs are not for everyone. They're like you guys were talking about infrastructure. There's certainly places in this country where the infrastructure is just not there yet. So especially if you don't have at-home charging, it's not for everyone. But which pains me to say because I think we could get to that point. But that's kind of my.
Or if you have free work charging like Sebastian does, which makes me jealous. So.
Free work charging, that's pretty elite. I wish I had that.
Yep. All right, so Sophie, thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Any last thoughts?
That's it. No, thank you guys for having me.
All right, Sebastian, take us on out for the day.
All right. Well, as for our audience, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tap that notification icon so you can be alerted when we release new videos. Thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you again on another episode of the EV Geek Podcast. So long, everyone.